Howdy. Hope you're all doing really well. Just checking out, I've got about a 13-second lag, which is quite cool to always see it on the screen when you're actually 40 seconds in. A little bit surreal. So I hope you're really well. I suppose it's a happy World Mental Health Awareness Day. There's a lot of them that pop up these days, isn't there? So it's hard to know what really the crack is. It's kind of the on-trend thing, isn't it? A little bit. It feels that way anyway. In two minds, really. I feel that it's on trend, but at the same time, there's still this massive stigma around mental health and about people actually talking about it, helping other people, and actually doing something about it. That's the main thing that people struggle with. So if I've got 8 people on, which is great, so happy Saturday. Boom. Throw us up a comment. Let us know where you are and how you're doing this Saturday, where you are in the world. Some of you probably be in the UK, be about mid-afternoon, a bit later than that than me over here in Spain. So I wanted to have a little chat with you. I've got the comments up there as well, so I can interact with you a little bit, but I will try and look into your eye as much as possible. So a lot of us light workers, energy healers, coaches, therapists, and people doing good light work, which I would call in that light worker kind of arena. And we do that behind the scenes by the content you put out, the support, creating value. But unfortunately, there's still a lot of fear that comes around people actually either being skeptical about people helping, the actual problems that they have then about having their own kind of fears around getting that help, whether it be paid help or reaching out. People don't a lot. I mean, even with reaching out to friends, they don't want to feel like they're a problem. They want to be that person. Do you know what I mean? Even with friends and family, I speak to a lot of people that have problems with their families, especially where they don't feel worthy enough or whatever they do is wrong. But it always comes from a place of love, and that's the thing. Is we all see things extremely differently, but very much we kind of view it in the same bullshit really, but we all just see it and perceive it differently based on our own beliefs and how we've been programmed. In general, I don't think we do nearly enough to help ourselves. We can, we'll do things that aren't going to serve us in the best way, whether it be what we're eating or what we're consuming, even sometimes what we're doing. We can complain that our lives are so busy. And we want to give ourselves that time where the time we do have spare, we probably spend too much of it complaining about what we don't have. One of the main topics of this was to do with people do struggle still in silence massively. And one of the worrying things about this pandemic at the moment was the rise in the suicide awareness, the actual amount of people taking their lives in this pandemic. I know that for the last couple of years I've done walk and talk events and with Calm, with the Samaritans, with the football clubs, Time to Talk, hashtag, all the cool signs, hashtag, and also I'm part of some groups and support networks which are all promoting self-love and to that kind of community and actually reaching out to support one another and create those positive ripples that we talk about, creating a tsunami, a wave of change. And that's really cool. You very quickly, even in those groups, which are great when people are calling out and reaching out, they've got certain stuff going on, rather than being positive, you always get more engagement on those posts. But sometimes it's a cry for help. The help is there and it's readily available. But it doesn't seem like the people always take it, which is a shame. But it's there anyway. It is there anyway. So 11 men, I mean, the statistics of the last couple of years has been terrible with mental health awareness, and certainly with the suicide rates of men being 11 a day. Now it's up to like 17 during this pandemic, which is crazy. And we always say it's worse. It's not about it being worse. A lot of the support systems are there for the people that are left behind because a lot of the time they were so unknowing. People who always kind of fall into a trap of thinking, oh, but they seemed fine, or they could have come to me, and those kind of things. And so that's where that element of there's still a stigma in mental health comes. And I see it sometimes because I see it, the fears of people say, I want help, or I want this, or this has happened, or you can't help me. Because we all think of ourselves very, very individual in that way, but we all basically suffer in a very similar way. And it does fall back to the same things. A lot of it's to do with fears around being worthy, not being good enough. Sometimes they don't even want to ask for help because of don't want to be a burden or a pain on someone else. But it only takes this little catalyst of negativity to put yourself in that spiral of concentrating on the negative things in your life rather than being more solution focused and focusing on the good things in your life. So a lot of the stigma is bullshit, because we're experiencing the same stuff. We're experiencing the same fears. We're all, the territory that we live in is very similar. However, the mapping inside us is very, very different. We learn that in NLP and cognitive behavioral therapy, in neuro-linguistic programming. Beg your pardon. And there's a crossover in hypnotherapy as well, because it's about creating those positive thoughts and changing some of the old habits. And we only do that through repetition and by changing our physiology or our state. Being aware of it is the first instance, because a lot of us don't have the conversations with people about vibration and about energy. And at the moment, I believe, and a lot of light workers, energy healers, a lot of even coaches and therapists are aware of energies and vibration, because it's something that you can see. You can see and you can feel it in tonality, in eye, in body language, physiology. So it's not an invisible thing. It's just whether your awareness is open to it. So when we can talk about good feeling thoughts, being more solution focused, just creating a better energy and a better vibration with ourselves, it's just about doing the things essentially that make you happier. Singing in the shower, or actually having a shower rather than just staying in bed all day. It can be really, really small things. And if we're going to really create a positive way of change, it's about us stepping up as well, because you could sort of have a duvet day, and in primitive terms, in olden day terms, it's like it's a sign of depression, essentially. If you're sort of, I don't want to go out, I don't feel 100%, or you're just thinking, I'm just feeling a bit run down and want a duvet day and lie on the sofa all day, eat crap food, very comforting for you. But in primitive, early men and women kind of era, thousands of years ago, that would be because of danger and fears and wanting to conserve our energy, going into hibernation of some sorts until it was safe for us to go outside. So modern day symptoms, that is depression. But the things that we do to make ourselves feel better in those instances, like eating food, having alcohol, what they're doing is creating a false dopamine hit, which is making you happy. And again, we've been programmed to do that, but it sours us more than serves us. So it's more about being aware of actually going outside, getting sunshine on your skin, doing exercise, getting out in nature, choosing some good thoughts to have rather than just swimming around in our thoughts. You imagine in your head there being thoughts, being a swimming pool, and there being a current, you're kind of in the middle of them and you're just splashing around. Whereas taking yourself kind of outside of that and just going, okay, I can choose just to let it go, and focus your energy, your thoughts energy and your physiology on being more positive. And then that creates those chemicals, the dopamine, what you're then putting in alcohol, or wanting to have a cigarette or sit there and just do nothing. You're creating that positive chemical to flow through your body, changing your physiology and your state. And that is far more serving. But it's easier to do that, to be honest, than it is to sit there all day saying, I don't want to, because as soon as you've done it, within seconds of starting to do something, it makes such a big difference to how you feel. And then you've pulled yourself out of your primitive brain, which is focusing on the negative stuff in your life. And then you're in your intellectual brain, where generally you're quite happy, might come up with proper assessments, the right answers, the solutions that you need for things going on in your life. And again, it's a lot easier than doing what we were programmed to do. I remember even as a teenager, kind of, you know, lulling around in in bedrooms, not really doing much, playing on a computer all day. And we just allow them to do that. And okay, haven't ever spoke about this, but why would you kind of just go, oh yeah, you let your teenager, say you've got a 14 to a 16 or 18-year-old who's in his room, say, or her, playing on their phone, on the computers all the time. You're letting them go in there because it's easier, right? It's easier and they seem happier. And then every time you do see them, they got the fucking attitude with you or something. Or you open a door and say, hi, do you want something to eat? Fuck off, like, get out of my room. What is going on there, really? But we're like, oh, well, just because it's easier, give them a tablet. You know, kids in restaurants, give them a tablet, shut them up because it's easier for us. Or let the kids, let the kids stay in the room all week until the time comes. It's right. It's time to do your room. Then have an argument about it. See, when you actually break it down and start becoming an observer of certain situations that just seem quite normal in our lives, they kind of seem a bit fucked up. And also the fact that we're not really helping ourselves in these things, and then we wonder why. Then you've got an 18-year-old that's maybe got social anxiety, which is like trendy. It's very trendy to have a mental health stuff now. People are misery likes company. I think I wrote that in the description. And people, I think it's wrong that it's trendy to say, I've got close friends that will turn around and say, oh yeah, my anxiety. Very blasely, oh, my anxiety. And I'm like, all right, well, what are you doing about that? And they're like, what? Like, I know nothing about it. And I'm like, or they'll know that I actually, when I started doing hypnotherapy 2 years ago, it was the actual, that kind of therapy side of things, as well as the understanding and learning about what's going on in our bodies and our minds, which stopped me from having panic attacks. I mean, it took a long while, but it was all about relaxation, essentially, in the end, which meant that the relaxation and that quieting my mind of thoughts, because absolutely everything that we're talking about here, guys, is about our thoughts, about the one thing we've got control of in our lives, and that is what we think. It's the only thing we've got control over. Up to 7, 8 years old, we're in this theta brainwave state. We're basically on record. We're taking everything in until we get to that age, and then our brainwaves switch, and then the subconscious starts then putting out all the programs, everything that we programmed in, the things that we've created, the filter systems around what we like, what we choose to delete, distort, generalize based on the programs that our parents and people we look up to. You'd see, say for instance, you're in a family setting where there's not a male lead, say, and then you've got a kids club, so there's a couple of men that are the leaders in that. It's only natural a lot of the kids are going to idolize though and really watch and study, because that's what they're doing. Studying people's behavior is very much an animal kind of thing to do. Babies are looking around, studying what everyone's doing, knowing how to copy, knowing what to do. So depending on the 5 people that have really influenced their growing up, that's basically what you're going to get. You're going to get an average of the 5 people that they've been programmed by. And we still do this even into adulthood. If you meet a new friend that always says something like, oh, ish, or says something really funny, and you think, because you're creating an emotional response to that person, your memory will pick up on that more, because what emotions are is energy in motion, but it's also memory records of the past in your emotions. And the more you feel, the stronger your memory will be of it. So rather than just, your team wins 5-0, and that's really good. But if it's a cup final and you win 5-0, you're so much more geared up, more excited, and you've got so much more feeling and emotion with it, that's going to be a stronger memory. I hope that makes sense. So this is just some of the stuff that I talk about in wanting to create a new group for people. I did an advert probably about a month ago about taking on like one high paid client to actually go on a transformation. End up started working with a couple actually, but not in a paid capacity. And they're, to be honest, I don't think they're getting the most out of it, because I don't think they value it. And I keep talking about the value they put on it, like not showing up and things like that, or saying, can we move things around, which is fine, and I'm happy to do that. But in that paid capacity, you pay more attention. It's weird how we work like that. And if it was like your friend, it's the same thing of like when maybe you don't know somebody and you're arranging to meet them or something, and you don't turn up. But then if it was like your friend meeting you at the pub, they'd be completely busting your balls, wouldn't they? They'd be completely kind of going, dude, you said it'd be 6 o'clock and they're not there, that kind of thing. But then when it gets into this work or this kind of sharing knowledge space, it falls into this really, really weird grey area where people's own fears will push them away from actually stepping towards the outcomes that they want. And I've done it before. I've done it myself when I've been thinking, maybe I won't go to that course or this or that. Whereas I know that when I have actually, let's talk about what courses and this one-on-one kind of, I know people see counsellors or people see some sort of course or therapist. Basically, I suppose you're talking about anything from like £40 an hour session, like a Relate kind of thing, or family therapy or whatever, to a high-end coaching business, which you could pay at thousands. You could do a group coaching thing for, a few £100 a month or something, and then get recordings. Or you could do something just one-on-one, which is always going to be the most valuable way of getting something, because you can actually, the energy transfer, and you're doing that whole Q&A thing one-to-one. But again, it's about how much you value it and how much you want it. And there's so much out there for people now, because it's really trendy, isn't it? This whole mental health thing that is trendy. I think it's more trendy for people to say that why they're suffering. And we haven't really caught on the bandwagon of what we can be doing to help ourselves. And a lot of the time, I don't think people are helping themselves enough, because you can reach out, say, oh, I want some free resources, or get this. And there's a plethora of them. There's so much free stuff, from meditations to just guides and stuff. I mean, Google, and that's brilliant for that kind of thing, is literally you can find tutorials and Vimeos or YouTube videos on literally anything, everything and anything. You've got to try new things, I think, when it's free like that. I know that when a friend of mine wanted to stop smoking, he said, oh, you can hypnotize me to stop smoking. I said, yeah, I can, but I don't think you're going to value it. Why? Well, one, you're not going to pay me to do it. Secondly, you see me as your mate that you've known for 10 years, rather than someone that walks in a room that you say, right, I'm the therapist and I'm going to do this. You're going to value what they're saying a lot more automatically. So I can refer you on to someone. I think you'll get the best result. And that's just being honest, because that's how our brains work. If one of my friends becomes a tennis coach now, I wouldn't necessarily go for the tennis coaching. Mind you, I shouldn't even use that I'm crap at tennis, by the way, so I shouldn't even use that as a result. But I hope you get what I mean. So sometimes it's about how you perceive things as well. And I say this thing about when people point fingers and stuff. There's always three fingers pointing at them. So there is this argument to be had that anything that we do, we're like mirrors. So if there's things you like or dislike about people, a lot of the time it's to do with your own limiting beliefs, as well as when you're attracted to people, you either see some value in them or something maybe that they're lacking that you have, that you can give them in value. And that's completely a thing. So what needs to happen for us to get uncomfortable in this comfortable world that we're actually not happy in anyway, which is weird, but it's like we live comfortably uncomfortable in our lives because we're doing all the right things. We're doing everything that we should be doing, working 50 hours or living hand to mouth. And it's amazing, by the way, how many people, if you will live to their means, knowing that you've got X amount and you'll max out everything in that arena of how much money you've got. But then there's so many things that could be tweaked or changed, so much time wasted, and then you're not having the value that your time and money is the same thing, in the sense of You're using your time to obtain this IOU slip to then give you stuff that makes you happy. You could be very, very unhappy in your life, and they're not using the money that you have, that you're putting all that time and energy into, to do stuff with. It's going to make you happier. Doesn't make sense to me that much. But then, mind you, I was that person as well 3 years ago. That was literally hand to mouth all the time. I'm a very generous person. I'd give my last fiver to someone. They wouldn't know it was my last fiver. They would think that, I had loads of money, but I'd always live hand to mouth, and I would be very generous at Christmas when I could be. Now I'm not, which is really funny because I completely see the whole energy, wealth, and just the human condition. I see it all very, very differently now. And that's why I like to talk to people and give them my £10 worth, my 2 pennies worth is what they say, 2 penny or 2 pennies worth. But yeah, I like to give a few more pennies in value. So how are we going to get uncomfortable? When we get uncomfortable is where growth happens. Because you think about when you have growth spurts, when you're growing up, when your feet hurt because you're growing, essentially, when you're at the gym, when you want to lose some weight and you've got to then, push through the pain barriers and the comfort zones to actually know, oh Christ, I did 10 minutes on the treadmill today at level 7. And it's like, then it'll go, right, you're going to now do 15 and it's a level 8. And you're like, oh, I can't. You can. There's no such thing as trying. I've tried. It's either you do it or you don't do it. There's no this candid, I can't or I've tried kind of mentality that's installed into us. And then other people saying, well, all you can do is your best. Yeah, you can do your best, but don't do your best and say that was my best and then expect massive praise for it, because you can think, well, that's my best today and I can do better tomorrow. So we're always looking to improve, push through pain barriers, push through the comfort zones. Because even with mental health stuff, hello, if you're suffering from mental health, you are well attuned to being uncomfortable, right? So what's going to make you feel more comfortable? Getting the help you want. And then what happens? You fall into this negative trap of, oh, but I can't afford to do that. Can you not afford to put yourself first? You are the number one important person in your life. The way you communicate with yourself fundamentally is the most important relationship you have in your life. And the quality of your life will always be determined based upon the quality of the conversations you're having with yourself, let alone anyone else. Because the thought starts and will end with you. The thoughts and the communication that you have with anyone else starts and ends with you. And I don't think enough people put the emphasis on that. I know I never did. And I was working in pubs for, 20 years. So I knew that communication was actually never one of my strong suits, because I was always a hothead. I was very angry. I remember people that would be, I'm absolutely lovely and adorable, but at the same time, I'm scary and upset the staff and just be very, very straightforward talking. But at the same time, I got shit done, and I had to appreciate at some point there was bits of my personality I don't like, didn't like, and even now, some of that kind of tenacity, that grit, that power, that energy, that arseholeness will drive me to do some of the things that maybe I will feel a little bit more uncomfortable, because I'll use that tenacity to push through the pain barrier, the comfort zone, as it were. But what happened with me is I could never really shut off my thoughts. I always used to say that my mind was a bit like a circus, a pinball machine. Ding, 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 ding. I now know what that is. That's neurons firing, basically. Very over-imaginative, overthinking brain, like we all have, because we're all thinking all the time. But when we can learn to kind of take a break, a short break from our life every single day, and just go to a place of no thought, or sit quietly, or get used to doing the grounding, or the difference of sitting there and go, oh my God, everything's been so bad today. Just sit down. I need to sit down and do nothing. You sit there and put, like, say, EastEnders on. That is not putting yourself first. That is not what's in your best interest. You'd be better off just going and sit out in nature with quietness, or listen to like your favorite song for 3 minutes outside on your own. That would be far more serving to you. in raising your vibration and gripping the energy. And there's little things like just being aware of the language you use. There's one I always like to say when people apologize far too much. You give your power away when you apologize, because people are like, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. What the fuck are you apologizing for? If you were late, just own it and walk in and just be like, thanks for waiting for me, guys. That gives off so much different energy to you going, oh, I'm so sorry, the traffic was bad. It might have been completely out of your control, or maybe it wasn't out of your control and you could have got up earlier and gone. And you're like, I'm really sorry I'm late. I'll make sure I leave 10 minutes early tomorrow, because then you're solution focused. And the energy in the room that you walk into will be different as well, massively different. You'd find if you come in saying thank you to people, you're automatically giving them gratitude. And the chances are 4 people will turn around and a couple of them will be like, oh, it's fine. If you walk in and turn around and say, I'm sorry, the 2 people who went, no, it's fine, might go, or throw some energy back at you, negative energy. It's crazy. Change little things in your life and make massive changes to the outcome, massively. So I'm going to read the last bit. So we want a wave of change. Yeah, we need to gift ourselves a time to take a break from our life. And what we do with hypnotherapy in this rapid transformation relaxation therapy, so we're talking about learning about when you went and sat down and said, oh, not now, I'm busy, or I haven't sat down all day because I've been busy and I want 10 minutes to myself, and you sit there and watch EastEnders, what are you doing? You're zoning out. You're going to a place of no thought and just switching off for a second, because as soon as you're not concentrating on something else, your thoughts will take over. So rather than having, a couple of hours every day of Netflix or sitting there watching something, or I'm saying have some guilty pleasures. Mine would be sort of watching Match of the Day or football once a week. And sometimes I take it, sometimes I don't, but I don't beat myself up for it, because that's my guilty pleasure, and I like to do that. And it's a social thing as well. So you could give yourself, instead of doing that every single day, giving yourself, something that's not serving you. So if you're watching football every single night, change it up a couple of times and actually do something that's going to serve you better. So listening to a nice, it doesn't have to be meditation, hypnosis. I mean, that's what I do and what I teach with people to do. But at first, we're just talking about making small changes to see how it makes a massive impact in your life. So it could be listening to something, you like. It could be that you like, I don't know, trees or bird watching or something, and but don't do it all nearly enough. So gift yourself that time to get out in nature or to do something that you like. It's about that, doing more things that raise your vibration than things that kind of drain your energy and you like to complain about, and just making small impactful changes day by day, just little improvements, until after a couple of weeks, all of a sudden they're starting to make big changes in your life. So with the relaxation therapy, what we're essentially talking about is like listening to someone tell you a story. Yes, it is reprogramming your mind to a point. The reason it's reprogramming is because when you're in that passive state of not thinking and something's speaking to you, your mind is always listening and taking orders from you. It is as simple as that. So if you're listening to the news when you're falling asleep at night, all that's going in there. If you're watching horror movies, all that chaos is going in there. So to quieten our minds, which are in really a chaotic state, we need to balance our brain waves and to have a more soothing environment for our bodies. And that has a really profound effect. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to make it as really affordable and as easy as it can possibly be for people to actually start taking steps to, rather than just jumping on calls with myself or colleagues about what it is going on and wanting to basically just brain dump, being more solution focused and saying, okay, well, let's talk about all the good things in your life, and now let's do some relaxation, and then actually just going on that path of it's a self-discovery journey essentially, because just by letting go and being peace and at calm, so many wonderful things start popping up and starting to happen. Right, it's been 30 minutes, so I'm going to jump off and I may do another one in a bit. But remember, It's mental health, the World Mental Health Day today. And that's about us looking after our own mental health and our own state and doing body check-ins all the time, okay? So, hope you're having a great Saturday. Speak to you soon.